Everybody jealous of your lighting, Takitha.
I'm telling you.
It's a lamp.
It's a lamp. So, are we ready? Girl, Shell, your hair is popping, child.
Is it? I told her it was gorgeous.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I guess we should go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to try to introduce everybody. So I'm Lady G. And we have here also the beautiful Michelle. She's intimately wording everything, child. And we have, and you know, as I'm the intuitive, Michelle is the counselor. Then we have the beautiful Professor Dr. K.E. Garland, Kathy, some of us. And our guest today is, honey, let me go look at this little tagline she got on her email.
Tell it all. Tell it all.
Let me tell it. A mommy, a badass blogger, and a free-thinking lover of life. Don't you love it? Don't you love it?
Yes.
That's me.
That is Takitha Thomas.
Yes.
So we are so happy to have you here today.
Thank
so I'm
you.
just gonna pass this one on over to either the professor or the counselor. I don't know which one of you guys want to go first.
Well,
And
I
we're
have a
gonna just
question.
start
That's
hitting
not-
her with some questions.
I have a question that's not my question, but I want Michelle to start.
I want you to start. I guess I have
to start. Okay, no, it's fine. I'll start.
Jay Thomas has guest blogged for me.
Oh, you're right. That is so right. Okay.
And
I
his
thought
book
he
is
was going
coming
to be
out
able to
this
tell
year.
me. Listen, they talk about the same stuff. Maybe that's why I thought the book was going to be good, because I thought it was him and it was somebody else.
No, Jay's book is coming out this year, though, so I will be definitely promoting that.
Well, let me know after you read it, though, because I think
I will.
I'm almost done with indie people. Almost.
Okay.
Unless I know them personally. Okay,
Dr.
well, I feel better.
Garland, what does that mean?
What does what mean? that I'm done with indie people?
Yes, please expand.
Listen, until this is just a precursor to a blog that I'm going to write, written out of love. I can't read no more indie books with poor grammar. The formatting is off. You look like, you know, you just put it on a Word document and uploaded it.
Yeah.
Stop, Gwen. Yeah, I can't do it. It's like, then they overcharge you for the book. They know good and well the book. How much did we pay Michelle for this last one? How much did you pay?
$15?
$15.
That's too much. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it should be like $9.95 or less.
Thank you, or less, especially
Or less.
if you ain't had no damn editor.
Correct.
Please. Okay.
Well, see, now that you said that, because Jay is my homeboy. I love Jay. Jay's like my brother. I will make sure that he is paying for professional editing services.
Tell him
And
that.
be like, do not, KE has the site, you know, you better pay for some professional editing.
Yeah, somebody. And I'm not talking about your friend up the street. I mean, like
Correct.
somebody with some, you know, like they have a business or something like that.
Yes.
That could also be me because I have a business. So
Yes. Yep, I will promote that.
But anyway, okay, I feel better about that because I was getting ready to ask, like, whew, what happened? Okay.
Now, before we start with questions, why don't we have Takitha say something about herself and what she think this is, what type of form she think this is, and how does she feel about it?
Oh, wow. What kind of form? Well, I'm Takitha. Like Lady G read, I'm a mom. I always say that first, primarily because it's the most important thing. And I can accomplish anything in the world, but being a mother is the most important thing to me. So I always tell people I'm a mom. So I'm a mom. I am dating again, which is a whole nother drama. I'd rather get scurvy than date.
Oh my!
I'm serious. Dating is horrible. So I'm dating now. But I wanted to do it. I mean, I followed you guys' blogs for years. I love your blogs for different reasons. And I thought this was a sisterhood. And I'm all about supporting women and having a forum where we can actually express ourselves about different things.
Wonderful.
So that's what I think.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
On point. Yeah.
I can remember when whenever I very first started blogging, and it was like, I'm gonna just upload some stuff and see what happened, okay? And then I started getting picked up by people, and I'm looking at this Thomas type of, what is this, a Thomas type of, oh, okay, you know, and I read it, and I was like, wait a minute, she got 90 zillion followers, and she is actually stuff. I thought the same thing.
It is not, let me tell you, it is not. And I'm always so blessed when people follow me. I'm just like, wow, you know, it's amazing. I'm like, I am thankful for every last person that clicks on and says, I want to hear what she has to say.
That's
So,
right.
you know, I made a conscious effort to try to promote more blog posting this year for others, because I can't write as much since I'm working on stuff, but I'm like, y'all follow me? I mean, I just started off talking, this is my point of view, like whatever I wanted to talk about, and people seem to like it. So
that's right. And I do. I mean, I felt the same way about Dr. Garland. And then when I got
yeah,
to know Michelle, you know, I was like, you know, I really like what they write. And
yes,
I feel like, kind of like, I think Dr. Garland said something like, when she's reading my stuff, she feels like she's sitting on the porch listening to me tell a story. And
she's right.
Right.
I actually think the same thing about the three of you guys. So maybe it's just something in your writings that reminds me of how I would like to write. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. Takitha, I think I was the first she was the first before you two that I followed and started liking and commenting on her posts. Yeah, I think blogging has brought us all together, which is wonderful.
Correct.
It's a different avenue. I think it's great.
Yeah.
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 Your sister circle is around the world because of the internet.
That's true.
It has made it that way, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we be sitting up there talking about we worldwide, okay? We got a friend
We every country.
Oh no.
We are. If you take our follower list, we probably are every country.
We are.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wonderful.
All right, Michelle, are you going with the questions?
I thought Zach was going to start. You going to start?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
So, for those of you who may not know, well, first of all, everybody knows that I edited this book, and I have to clarify that all the time that I didn't write this book, but I edited this collection along with someone else. But what you might not know is that Takitha is actually a writer. She has a story in this book. And so my question has to do with this book.
Okay.
Father-daughter relationship. And what I wanted to know is a lot of the women in the book I guess they kind of tie the dysfunction that they have with their father with the relationships that they have today with men, and I don't want to say like a bunch of relationships, but sometimes the marriage that they have or whatever type of committed, or even, you know, their dating situation. So what I wanted to know is, have you found any connection between the type of relationship that you had with your father? I know you were married before, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the type of relationship that you have with your father, do you think that it mirrors or has any type of connection or anything to do with either your previous marriage or your other relationships that you've had since?
It definitely had to do with a lot of my relationships, I guess, in the choosing. I wouldn't say like my last relationship. My last relationship with Mr. C was the healthiest relationship I'd had as a functioning adult, meaning that early 20s, I dated some great guys. They were great guys. We were young. We didn't know what, you know, relationships were about. We weren't getting married. But this was an actual relationship that we worked on. And both of us, having been divorced, were very keen on communication and talking and being transparent with each other. But my dad is just a troubled individual. And I saw some similarities between my ex-husband and my father. But I was young when I got married. I was in my my late 20s, but I was still a baby and didn't really know what it meant to be a wife, because his parents never married. My parents divorced. So we came from two dysfunctional families trying to build a family. And so while my dad was an alcoholic and, promiscuous and not faithful to my mama, my ex did not necessarily have all of those traits, but there were similarities in the things. One of the things I used to say to him was, if you don't want to be with me, you want to cheat, you want to be with someone else, just tell me. Don't be like my daddy. Don't be a hoe.
Right.
Because you're blocking my blessing from somebody else having the wonderful gift that is me.
Right.
And, and I meant that with all, exactly. I meant that with sincerity. I meant that with sincerity. It was really about, if this isn't working for you, tell me.
Right.
We can go our separate ways. And that didn't necessarily happen. I think that my father, while he didn't shape my choices in men, not having a healthy relationship with him didn't let me value healthy relationships with men.
Yeah.
So I had detachment issues because I'm kind of detached from my father. So it's weird when I tell, when I tell women I can like the song says, I can cut a bitch off kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's me. I can cut you off.
Right.
I had no regrets by it. And so, how some women get attached with sex? No.
Yeah.
If I get mine, I'm good. I'll call you if I feel like it. I may or may not call you. You got to deal with it. But that really is me. And I think it's because I have detachment issues with guys. So it's not like, so I need them to understand, like, me getting involved with the man, it is a continuous process to put our relationship first and for us to value each other before we can move forward, or I will get detached.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I totally understand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it kind of sounds like a case of Fred Sanford, the great Fred Sanford, who once said, "Do unto others so they can do it unto you."
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it is, though.
Sometimes you do think that, and I would ask Michelle to chime in on that a little bit, because sometimes you do find people who will cut that thing short because they are afraid
Fear.
that they're going to be played. Michelle?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I do. I'm a therapist. You know that, Takitha.
Yeah.
And my questions was based on healing. How do you, and trust me, I do understand that this is your reality, your story, your experience. So I value that, and thank you for sharing that piece of you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, before I get to my question, to piggyback off Doc's excerpt that you did in the book, and that is the. When I read it, I reached out to Doc, of course, and I said, "Wow, her story is rough. It's tough to take in. It was a hard read.
Yeah,
it was very hard because I could
hard
feel
to
your
there.
Yeah, it was a very difficult read. And it just sounded like you were in just so much pain.
Yes.
And even expressing that, it still doesn't feel like it ended it, or it's still open to me.
Yes.
Your relationship with your father and your feelings with your father is still open. That excerpt just it wasn't the finish. It wasn't the end of it. Okay.
It's really open. You're absolutely right. I had thought that I was over it because God had told me you need to forgive. And so I thought I forgave him, because forgiveness for me means that I allow you in my presence.
Right.
I allow you to talk to me. I allow you to converse with me. I allow you to sit here and share a cup of, water with me. That is forgiveness to me, because I don't break bread with my enemies.